Go. I really apologize for being a few minutes late, but here we are. So whenever you're ready.
Great. Let me give cable the heads up. When they are ready to go in, I will give the open meeting law notice, and I'll kick it to you.
Great.
Great. Good evening, everyone. The open meeting law requires that I notify the public that this meeting is recorded. Therefore, please be aware that an audio and visual recording of this meeting is being made by Boston City TV, a part of the City of Boston Office of Cable Communications, and is being broadcast on Xfinity Channel 26, RCN Channel 13, and FiOS Channel 962, as well as live streamed on YouTube, where a recording will remain for viewing after this meeting. With that, I will turn it over to our chair, Jerry Boyd, to start the meeting.
Great. Thank you, Andrea, and welcome everyone to the first meeting of the Disability Commission Advisory Board for 2026. It's hard to believe that a new year has started, but without much further ado, let's kick things off by having introductions for the advisory board members. Olivia, why don't we start with you?
Hi, my name is Olivia Richard. I'm the vice chair for the Disability Advisory Board, and I hail from Brighton.
Great. Carol, why don't you introduce yourself?
My name is Carl Richardson. I live in Brighton. I identify as deafblind, and welcome. Happy New Year.
Great. Paulette, why don't you introduce yourself, please?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Paulette Durrett, and I live in the Mattapan section of Boston.
Great. Zari, why don't you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, everyone. My name is Zari. I'm your husband, and I live in South Boston, and I identify myself as individual with disability.
Great. And Paul, why don't you introduce yourself if you have a minute, please?
My name's Paul Karen. I live in the West End, and I serve as a mental health advocate, trying to advocate for family members and friends. And Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year. Andrea, am I missing anyone? I don't see anyone else from the board currently on.
Jerry, it's Richard.
Oh, Richard, there you are.
Hi. Apologies. For some reason, I can't get my video to work, but that may be sparing you, actually. So it could be a benefit to all of you who are on tonight. But anyway, Richard Glowski, a member of the board. I live in Back Bay, and happy to be here.
Great. And I see Juan Carlos is on. Juan, if you could introduce yourself.
Yes, hello everyone. I'm happy to be here to all board members. This is Juan Carlos Ramirez Tapia, following for the background noise of generation songs. I live in Boston South End. I have a financial business there.
We missed some of that, Juan, but we appreciate your dedication being on. It looks like you're on your commute, so we'll let you mute and get safely home. Andrea, I'm going to ask again, any other folks that I might have missed?
I think you've got all of the appointed members of the board.
Great.
But if you'd like...
my name is Jerry.
Okay.
My name is Jerry. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Andrea.
I was going to say Commissioner Mercascia is on if you want to invite her after you finish out for the board.
Oh, sure. I'll introduce myself, and then we'll have the commissioner introduce herself. My name is Jerry Boyd. I proudly serve currently as chair of the Disability Commission Advisory Board, and I live in West Roxbury, and I am also a wheelchair user, and I have salt and pepper hair with a Bruce Springsteen t-shirt on currently. And go ahead, Commissioner.
Thanks, Jerry. Hi, everybody. My name is Krista McCosh. I'm the Disability Commissioner and ADA Title II Coordinator for the city. I also use a wheelchair for those on screen who can't see my whole image. I am a woman with blonde hair, and there is an image of City Hall in my background. Welcome, everybody, to tonight's meeting.
Great. And moving right along on the agenda is the approval of last month's meeting minutes, the December meeting minutes. Do we have a motion to approve?
I have a motion that we approve the minutes. This is Carl.
Any seconds?
This is Paul, I second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, do I have I'd like to conduct a vote to approve the minutes? Please feel free to say aye, wave, or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
I believe the motion passes unanimously. That's great. Excellent. Thank you so much for that. And next on the agenda is a presentation regarding snow management in Boston from our very own Andrea Patton. Take it away, Andrea.
Thank you, Jerry. Yes, I will be presenting on snow management. We've had just a few light snowfalls so far this year, nothing too large yet, but we live in Boston, so you never know when a snowstorm's going to hit, when a nor'easter's going to hit. So with that in mind, I'm going to pull up some slides. Get it into slideshow mode. So, snow clearance in Boston. What are the rules when it comes to snow clearance in Boston? Well, who does the clearing? First and foremost, property owners. Anyone who owns property in Boston is responsible for clearing the snow from the sidewalk that is adjacent to their property. They can pass this along to tenants if they put it expressly in a written lease or a rental agreement. Property owners can pass it along to a tenant. If you are a tenant who is unable to clear snow by reason of a disability, that gets into Fair Housing Act and reasonable accommodations requests. But as far as the ordinance says, yes, property owners can pass that responsibility on. When do people have to clear snow? Well, they have to clear sidewalks and curb ramps within 3 hours after it stops snowing. And if it snowed overnight, then within 3 hours of sunrise. The ordinance does not require you to wake up, set an alarm for midnight, and go out and start shoveling right then. You can wait until sunrise. And what is it that folks have to clear? It's required in city ordinance to clear at least a 42-inch wide path of travel. Obviously, if the sidewalk is not even 42 inches itself, you clear the whole sidewalk, but many of our sidewalks are wider than 42 inches, and that is the minimum that you are required to clear. If your property is on a corner, you're required to clear the curb ramps as well to ensure that path of travel into the crosswalk at the street. You're required to remove ice down to bare pavement, so that may require salting or sanding or other things, but just taking off the top layer of snow and leaving ice behind is not allowed under the ordinance. Nor is pushing or shoveling the snow into the street. That makes it harder for everyone involved. You've got to find a place to pile the snow elsewhere. And there are fines associated with shoveling into the street if you are found to have done that. Speaking of fines, there are fines if property owners fail to clear the sidewalk or the curb ramp that they are responsible for clearing. For commercial properties, that is $250 for each incidence of snow or curb ramp, 2 separate fines that are not cleared. So if you clear the sidewalk but you don't clear the curb ramp, $250. If you clear the curb ramp but not the sidewalk, which I've never seen, but that would be interesting, again, $250. If you clear neither, $500 for not clearing those pieces. Residential buildings that have more than 16 units, more than 16 apartments, have fines of $150 associated, and residential buildings with 16 or fewer units have $100 fines for not clearing their sidewalks. So when we're talking about sidewalks and curb ramps and the City of Boston's operations, what does the City of Boston do as a city government? Well, first of all, just to level set, there's 1,600 miles of sidewalk in the City of Boston. If you didn't know that, it's a lot of miles. And City of Boston staff clear the sidewalks and the curb ramps that are adjacent to city property, just as any other property owner is responsible for doing. Yes, the Public Works Department, who's responsible for issuing fines for failure to clear, have written tickets against other city departments. The Boston Public Library or the Parks Department have in fact been ticketed by the Public Works Department if they don't clear the sidewalks adjacent to the park, adjacent to the VPL. So we do clear sidewalks adjacent to property that we own as a city government. The Public Works Department also piloted a limited curb ramp specific program in 2021 and made it permanent in 2022. This covers curb ramps in high foot traffic areas in every neighborhood. So there's at least one location in every neighborhood of the city that they consider a high foot trafficked area, main streets, things like that. They call it their square work. There are a lot of places that we call squares in the city that are intersections. So they do clear the curb ramps in these designated areas. It's kind of a living list, right? People change, new developments grow up, new buildings get built by the city, so it's not laid out in ordinance what locations these are or anything like that. And it's important to note that it's the same staff, whether that's a city staff member or a contractor, who just plowed the roads. So speaking of the roads, these are the priority for the city to ensure that public safety and emergency assets can get around as soon as possible after a snowfall, AKA, EMS, fire, police, the MBTA. These are critical services that the city is focused on getting around. And so between city staff and city plows and the 10 contractors approximately each year that we work with, who put out 700 to 800 pieces of equipment, all of those folks are out there responsible for 800 miles of road. And when you count each lane, separately, if it's a 2-lane road or going in each direction, right, it's about 1,400 lane miles that the city clears with those 10 contractors and their in-person or their in-house staff. So after clearing those 1,400 miles of road, those are the same staff who go home, get a shower, get a bite to eat, and then hop into smaller equipment that can clear the curb ramps. And the third bullet on this page is bike lanes, because again, that happens after the roads. After the folks get a break, get a shower, they get into their smaller equipment, like a Bobcat, if you know what that piece of equipment is. And they use that equipment to clear bike lanes and to clear the curb ramps in those high foot trafficked areas. All right, there's some other public areas that people definitely love to know about and hear about. So the first is bus stops. So in the city of Boston, the bus shelters are owned by the city. So if there's coverage and a bench underneath that coverage, almost certainly it's a city of Boston asset. And we have a contractor who maintains those, fixes them up, puts up the advertisements that you see in them, and that contractor is also responsible for clearing the shelter of snow when it snows. They are required to clear for both the waiting area, right, if snow gets kicked into where you want to be waiting underneath the cover, and they are required to clear such that you can board. So as I describe it, sort of punching through that wall of snow that might get built up on the curb ramp so that you can step from on the curb. So you can step from the curb to the bus or the ramp can deploy. That is a requirement of our contractors at those shelters. The MBTA does do some clearance as well. They clear snow from the stops on their 10, and I actually think this is 15. I wrote 10, and I meant to Google it. I think they upped it to 15. Their 15 highest ridership routes, which, as I'm sure you can imagine, are largely stops in the city of Boston, and some other municipalities as well. But they clear the snow from those stops on those routes. MBTA stations, the MBTA is going to be responsible for clearing snow from their own property. They own, a certain amount of the kind of front yard, if you will, the plaza out in front of their stations. And they're also responsible for clearing any sidewalks that are immediately adjacent to their property, just as any other property owners would be. So sometimes it's not always as obvious because it's not the sidewalk directly in front of a station, but maybe it's next to like a rail yard. If the MBTA owns it, they're responsible for clearing it. And the same with state property. State-owned buildings, state-owned parks are responsible for clearing the adjacent sidewalks to their buildings. Whoop. So what happens if you encounter an uncleared sidewalk or an uncleared curb ramp 3 hours after snow or 3 hours after sunrise? Boston 311. You can call 311, you can email 311@boston.gov, or you can use the BOSS 311 app. Email or the app are particularly encouraged if you are comfortable using those because you can include a picture. So you can include a picture of exactly what the problem is, and that is gonna help both 311 and Public Works. Because the 311 team is gonna route it to the appropriate place, which is usually Public Works, but Public Works will actually then go find, right? They'll know who to find, whether it's a state agency themselves, a private property owner. So that picture is going to be really, really helpful to see what the issue is and exactly where it is that you need someone to clear. And in 2026, at least as of 4 days ago when I pulled this number after the last snow, the city has already issued 290 failure to clear sidewalk of snow violations. We are out. Public Works is absolutely out. Even those little, gentle snowfalls that still need to be cleared. Just because it's not a blizzard doesn't mean folks don't need to clear their sidewalks and don't mean the city isn't out taking it seriously. And for context, in 2025, we issued exactly 5,943 failure to clear sidewalk snow violations. So if you're curious, we are out there writing these violations. And I forgot to put a slide that says questions, but that is the end of my presentation. So if there are questions, I can absolutely take them, as I'm sure there will be. We may have lost Jerry, I think.
I'm muted.
Oh, there you
I'm
are.
sorry, I was muted.
I was trying to find you in the list to bring you up.
That pesky unmute button. Thank you for your report, Andrea. I'm surprised that we've already had 290 or so violations. Does that mean that they've been issued fines? Is a violation different than a fine, or do you not know? Or?
Great question. They are not different. So that is 290 fines that have been assessed because a violation was witnessed by Public Works.
Do we have numbers, or or can we track the follow-up, whether those actual fines get paid or what happens?
Yes, absolutely. So this is one of the public data sets that the city publishes. I'll drop the link in the chat. And so it'll list the address, the date of the violation, whether it's open or closed, meaning whether it's been paid or not, the amount of the violation, the code, and any notes. So.
Great. Thank you very much. And I see Olivia has a question.
Yes. Where does that fine money go to?
Great question. I believe it goes to Public Works, the Public Works Department operating budget. I don't believe they have a specific fund that it has to go to, a specific set of actions it has to fund, but I will triple check that.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Andrea. Thanks for that. I am actually, I'm going to try to fix my microphone. I know my report is next. I don't know if we could skip down to something else. Maybe somebody else could, or Olivia or you, Andrea, could take a couple of the next items while I'll try to fix my audio issues.
This is Andrea, absolutely. Commissioner, I don't know if you want to do your report, if Commissioner Makash, if we want to go in that order.
Can we have Patricia go next? If you're ready, Patricia.
Okay. Sure, Commissioner, thank you.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Patricia Mendez. I'm the Director of Architectural Access. And today, instead of my Architectural Access report, I'm going to share with you a new City of Boston website that is called Citywide Project Tracker. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to share the project tracker live, and I'm going to show you how to use it, and it's very easy to use. I'm going to search for projects in Hyde Park, and it gives me a list of projects in the neighborhood. And when you click on each project, it takes you to additional information, and it takes you to recordings with information on the project and the recording of the actual discussion and the actual questions from the neighborhood. So I think it's a wonderful resource and very easy to use. So I'm here in Hyde Park. Oh, let's just play with the windows here. Okay, so I'm getting a list for, I'm doing something wrong here. This is live, everyone. So I want to switch to Alston. Okay. And it's taking me to Alston projects, and let's click here on the North Beacon Street. Okay, and this is an example. It is easy to read, and it shows the phases of the project in this case, and it's complete. It's going to show you a map of the location, as we have here on the right of the page, shown by the red marker line. And it talks about the design details and more information about that particular project. This one has neighborhood context in this case, and where to contact the project. And then a list of updates. And if you go in there, you can find, all right, this one is an example of the recording of the virtual meeting. I find those very informative and fun to watch. Yeah, and things like that. So I invite you to search. The name again is the Citywide Project Tracker. And I'm happy to answer some questions.
Patricia, this is Andrea. Is this every development project in the whole city or just City of Boston run projects?
This is both City of Boston projects and private development projects too.
Okay. I see Jerry is still off screen, so I think he may still be working on, oh, I have a DM. He's gonna come on screen.
Yes, I don't know if you can hear me any better now, though.
Yes.
Is it any better?
I'm seeing nods.
It's better?
Yes.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And any other questions for Patricia? I don't see any. Am I missing anybody, Andrea?
I don't see any hands, no.
Great. Thanks, Patricia. Really appreciate your report as always.
You're welcome, Jerry. Thank you.
All right. Commissioner, if you're ready to go now, I'm more than happy to have you go next, or do you want me to give a brief chair's report?
You can give your chair's report first.
Sure. My report will be very brief. I just want to hope that everybody had a good holiday season, and I wanted to give a shout out to the Commissioner's office, particularly around the mayor's inaugural, the swearing in of the mayor and the city council and the mayor's inaugural address. I was fortunate to attend. I know Andrea particularly, did a lot of work around that event, making sure that it was accessible. I spoke with her the morning of the event when I arrived, and she said, I think you said you had 12 or 14 folks that had signed up requesting assistance. I know not that many, at least wheelchair users, attended, it looked like, but the folks that did attend, we were, very comfortable spots and had a good view of everything, and just wanted to give a shout out to you, Andrea, and the Commissioner's office for making that event accessible to us. So thank you very much for that, and great work as always. And I also just wanted to encourage everyone, when we get the opportunity to go to such events, it would be great to see more of us, more board members there, and more folks, who need us, who need assistance, folks with disabilities, at these types of events. As we say in the disability community, nothing about us without us. And as representatives of the city, I think it's really important when we can to go to these events and to make our presence known, and just to highlight the important work that we do for the city. So I would encourage us, again, whenever possible, to take advantage of these, kind of more high-profile events when possible. But I also recognize that everyone does a great job here, and we all have busy lives and other work commitments and other family commitments that prevent us from taking advantage of some of these things. But I do think it's important as part of our role for the city to participate as much as we can. Again, thank you for all the work that you have been doing on behalf of the city, and look forward to working with you in the coming year. I know we have elections coming up next month. Who's ever in this chair, leading the group next year, it's been my pleasure for the past year to lead the group, and I've had the opportunity to lead us on a couple of different occasions now, and I really, feel quite honored to have that opportunity, and I look forward to working with you all in the coming year, in whatever capacity. So thank you very much, everyone, and with that, we'll move on to the Commissioner's report.
Awesome, thank you, Jerry. All right, Andrea's gonna pull up my slides. And is my microphone sounding better now, Andrea?
Sounds good to me, but as you know, this room is tough that I'm in.
I know. Technical challenges. All right. So as Jerry mentioned earlier, opening the meeting, welcome to 2026, everybody. Just want to start out by thanking you all for all the hard work you do and all the time that you give to the city. We really appreciate your service and value your input tremendously. So thank you all. Okay, first slide up. I have a brief report tonight. It's not too long. Just some updates generally on the city and my department. So as we've talked about a few times, we all know about the city's Office of Participatory Budgeting. Voting is opening tomorrow, and it runs for a month through February 15th. You can find the link there. And in case you don't remember, participatory budgeting is an allotment of funds that the city has set aside to let residents decide what to do with it. So ideas were proposed back in the fall, and they've been narrowed down to a few ideas that will be posted, and you get to vote on the ideas that you like. And I believe some of our board members may have submitted an idea or two. Jerry, did you submit one?
I did, and I believe Tara was considering sending one in anyway. I don't know if she did. Don't want to put her on the spot, but.
What was your idea, Jerry?
My idea was around an accessible, getting like an accessible van that folks could use. The Disability Commission could use, and kind of be available for folks who may need it. So.
That's great. And Tara, are you on? I don't know if you submitted anything or if you just had an idea. You're welcome to share.
Hi everyone, I'm on. Unfortunately, I was unable to submit an idea. However, I did attend one of the nights where we came together, a bunch of people from BCIL, to kind of look at the ideas and narrow it down a little bit.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for doing that. And like Jerry said, we love it when you participate in events that aren't just our meetings, that you get involved in the city. Because that's really providing, civic leadership with the disability lens. So I'm really glad that you were able to attend, Tara. And think about ideas for next year, because the portal for ideas will be open before we know it. Okay, another update I wanted to give people. I don't know if the board members know this, but our office does a series of trainings and what we call little segments called In the Know. They're little PSAs, public service announcements. So if you go on our YouTube channel, and I'll link this into my report after the meeting, I'll put a link in, but on our YouTube channel, we have a series of trainings that Kai, our former staff person, had done. And we also continue to upload different webinars that we do, like our trainings in October during National Disability Employment Awareness Month. We do a monthly show called Disability Access in Action, where we interview a city department, kind of like the format where they come to this meeting. I have a conversation with them, they talk about what they do, and then after that segment, we have a little PSA called In the Know, where Andrea or Sylvie or one of our other staff will give like a little 5-minute segment on what you can do to get involved in the topic that we just discussed. So for example, if I talk to the Office of Emergency Management, we might talk about the city's plans for an emergency evacuation. And then the In the Know segment, Andrea will say, you can sign up for Alert Boston, and this is how you do it. So super valuable information. We'd love it if you want to log on, check them out, and also spread the word, because there are a lot of different topics, too many for me to list. Colleen works on this, Chris works on this, Sylvie works on it, so it's really, it's a lot of our work represented on this YouTube channel, so I encourage everybody to check it out. Next slide. And then I'm sure everybody got a copy of the advisory board dates for 2026. They're all on a Wednesday, pretty much like the second or third Wednesday. And again, we're planning for 11 meetings this year, combining November and December. According to our bylaws, we have to have 10, but this will be our schedule for the year unless anything changes. And then my next slide is some advisory board updates. So we are still waiting back to hear on the names we submitted to Mayor Wu for new members. We're patiently waiting, and once we get those names, we will set a date for an in-person swearing in, hopefully with the mayor. So please stay tuned for more information on that. And I wanted to take a few minutes just to talk about the meeting format. So those of you who've been on the board for a long time may remember that we used to have 3 presentations originally at our meetings, and then we pulled it back to 2, one city department and one nonprofit agency. And then we switched to just 1 presentation per meeting to give people more time to listen, ask questions, and speak about other things. And last year we added the shout out section. So I wanted to ask if there are any other changes people would like to make starting this year in the meeting format, if you'd like to add another presentation, if you think this is a good kind of use of our time. We could also talk about ideas for ordinances and city council hearings. I know people said they like the shout outs where everybody's picked their own kind of topic that they want to focus on and then talk about that at the meetings. So I really wanted to open up to the board. The bylaws don't really say what the content of the meetings have to be, just that you give input to our office on things that are your concerns. So Jerry, as the board chair, I will throw it to you to see if you have any suggestions or if you want to ask board members if they have any. Really just want to turn it over to you.
Yeah, no problem at all. Happy to lead a discussion in regards to that. Anybody have any ideas, or are folks happy with the current status or the current format? I know, as the commissioner said, the feedback that I've heard or the Disability Commission has heard is that folks are happy with the shout outs, but as Commissioner said, I think the bylaws give us a lot of leeway on how we format these meetings. So if anybody has any ideas for any changes, feel free, to talk about it now, and or let us know. But I'd be happy to entertain any ideas now, if folks, or any feedback now, if anybody wants to say anything.
Yeah, and I don't want to put anyone on the spot, but really the 2 things I want to bring up are the meeting formats, because really this is your board, and we love it when you take the leadership and take the lead on things, so we want to empower you to do that. So again, 2 things I'm raising are the meeting formats. We know the executive committee meets with Andrea to recommend presentations. I believe, Carl, years ago, you were the one who suggested that maybe 3 presentations was too many. So
I thought 3 was too many at the time, yeah.
I remember you said that, yeah, which is fair. Again, like we said, it's really your meeting. We want to support what your priorities are. But if you think you'd like to do 2, we can do that. Like I said, tonight may be a shorter meeting. Maybe we make the presentations shorter so you can learn more, because we really only have 11 times that we see each other a year. So it all depends on what your priorities are.
I
And
would
then
be
the
open
second,
to 2, but not 3.
okay.
Have
And
we
then the
also looked at what other, I mean, there are 351 towns in Massachusetts, so there's a lot of commissions that meet. Have we looked at some of the formats of what some of the other commissions do?
No, but that's an interesting suggestion if people would want to look into that. I know I've gone to Cambridge's meetings a handful of times, and they post, I get their newsletters, so I know they post their agendas. We could look at that. But then also, I think one of the board's biggest successes since I've been here is the captions ordinance that really, really changed accessibility across the city. So if there are any other ideas, we can get in touch with City Council. We have to work with the Intergovernmental Relations Office, but we can certainly propose City Council hearings. We can look at other ordinances. If there are things you notice around the city that you think would benefit with a different accessibility component, that's really what you're empowered to advise us to do. And we're happy to take your priorities under consideration and see if we can move the needle forward in any way. So really just want to say thank you all for your hard work, and any ideas and priorities that you have, we're happy to carry out some of the work to help you achieve them.
Thank you, Commissioner. And like Commissioner and I said, Jerry as the chair, if you don't have ideas now or don't feel comfortable sharing now, we can certainly discuss this as part of the executive committee and maybe hash out some ideas for the early part of the year for the format of the meetings. So.
And also, thanks, I just wanted to mention, Andrea put in the chat some of the ideas for the participatory budgeting. She wrote that the 13 final ideas include fresh food access. I know that's something that Tara was concerned about. Workforce training, which we're all concerned about. Employment is a huge issue for people with disabilities. Sobriety supports. And I was actually just meeting yesterday where the, talking about different things that we want to get involved in. So this is something that I could see, having some sort of connection to. Housing stability, funding for residents, including residents with disabilities, and several more. So I encourage you all to log on, take a look at the ideas, and click on your votes. Thanks, Jerry. I'll turn it back to you.
Thanks so much, Commissioner, and really thanks for the reminder about how this is our meeting, and we can really change the format as needed to meet our needs. So I know you've given food for thought for the executive committee and the rest of the board members to think about how we want to shape the meetings going forward. So, but now the next part of the meeting is going to be the shout outs. Again, don't want to put anybody on the spot, but if anybody, has had done something interesting or worked on something interesting since we've last met, now is the time to share it. So please don't be shy.
Jerry?
Yes, Carl, go right ahead.
So a couple of things. Next week is the governor's date of the state on the 22nd, which is Thursday evening. And I am proud to say that we will have interpreters on camera with actual deaf interpreters doing the signing on camera. So it'll be fully accessible to the deaf and hard of hearing community, plus captioned. And so if the governor will be giving her update on the State of the Union for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. On a more personal level, I have been working on 2 issues over the last several months that I feel impact the disability community, maybe more in particular the blind community. One is service animal denials. Back in November, the service animal user community testified at 2 different bills for 2 different hearings. One was for S2714, sponsored by Joan Lovely, Senator Lovely, which was the bill to create a commission to look at the study of discrimination against service animals. I am happy to report that that has passed favorably out of committee, and is now with the Senate Ways and Means. And a number of us will be meeting with Senator Lovely and Senator Kennedy next week, actually, to discuss next steps in that bill. So stay tuned for more on that. And that would just create a commission that includes all stakeholders, from Children, Families, and Persons with Disability Committee at the State House, to MOD, to different organizations such as ARC, and all be involved in looking at how we can better enhance and protect the laws that service animal users have. Second bill was H 2066, which was a bill to do with finding Uber and Lyft drivers. That hearing was well attended. We had, 15 to 20 service animal users testify. The legislators took a lot of interest in it, and I've heard that the Speaker's office is looking at this bill, but there's a couple things there. The union and Lyft riders are trying to unionize, and they don't want to necessarily find the drivers, so we don't know what to do with that bill yet. That hasn't passed our committee. It passed the 60-day decision deadline, but it'll have to be voted on by March, if that's the deadline to vote bills out of committee. So stay tuned for more details on that. And last thing, very briefly, I don't want to monopolize all this time. As many of you know, my newest thing is autonomous vehicles, because I really do believe that'll improve the lives of people with disabilities. As you know, we testified at 2 City Boston hearings on the ordinance banning autonomous vehicles, and the no vote was taken, so that, and the City Council's legislative term ended, so nothing happened. But in the meantime, Bill Hennon of BCIL, I think, Jerry, you were at the meeting, right, weren't you?
Yes, that's correct.
Right. Bill Hennon, the BCIL, invited a number of advocates from the disability, including myself, Jerry, Chris Hart, who many of you know from System-Wide Access at the MBTA, Nora Nagel, to meet with the union. And we had many union representatives. It felt like David versus Goliath, to be honest. We had the Teamsters, we had the MBTA Mechanics Union, we had the Food and Restaurant Union, we had the SEIU 509. It was a bit. It was a good presence by both sides. We both explained our point of view, and I think we did a good job of listening and understanding that it's not necessarily one size fits all, and let's see if there's things we can agree on. So I don't know that anybody's mind was changed either way completely, but we at least understand that we're going to have to roll up our sleeves and find a common ground to go forward, and we're waiting to hear what the next steps are. So that's it for me.
Great, thanks, Carl. Olivia, I see that you have your hand raised.
Yes, this is Olivia. Normally I'm a bit of a ray of sunshine when it comes to BHA and public housing. Joke. But one of the things that the Housing Authority has done is they're changing their front door buzzing systems, the access systems, to a control panel called Butterfly MX. And the app that comes with it is very voiceover accessible. I will say the user terminal down in the lobbies is not blind accessible. This is something that the task force brought to me. I've noticed, and I don't know what the Housing Authority is going to do about it, but this is a system that they're rolling out. They got to do something.
Olivia, this is Jerry. Can you clarify what the butterfly system, I mean, what the system will do?
allows for digital control over the locks down in the lobby. So you can allow visitors to access the building using your smartphone.
Oh, okay. So does that mean that buildings will no longer, BHA buildings may no longer have like doorbells or?
No, it's a
like
doorbell that goes to your phone
Okay.
through an app on your phone.
Okay. I could see that being a challenge though for folks who don't easily use a smartphone. So.
Oh, it's been interesting trying to get the information access out to particularly the older Russian-speaking community in my building.
Sure.
They've had challenges and have had to do some one-on-one training.
Great. Well, thanks for sharing that. And to me, you always are a ray of sunshine, Olivia. So, no matter what topic, no, I'm serious. No matter what topic you bring up, you always try to look at the positives before pointing out the accessibility negatives or the lack of accessibility. You always try to stick at least something positive in there anyway. So I appreciate that. So. Kill them with kindness, right, Olivia? Kill them with kindness.
Yep.
Right. So, thank you, Richard. I see you had your hand raised.
Yeah. Thanks, Jerry. I have some of you may be familiar with the state pension system. It is an extraordinarily under-resourced and slow-moving, to say the least. So I've taken on now 3 cases pro bono in federal court to require the appropriate agency to determine the rights of those who are disabled who have applied for benefits, some of whom have been waiting 10 years for the process to play out before they get a determination as to whether or not they're entitled to benefits. So wow. I'm about to start the 3rd case this week. And so far, in the first 2, I was able to get the system to decide the 2 cases of people who've been waiting for many years for a decision. So,
Richard,
yes.
What is it? It's only a 5-person commissioner headed by Secretary Goldberg. What the red tape, or is it there are so many demands?
Well, it's a long story, but there is. Do you know who DALA is?
Yeah.
The Department of Administrative Law Appeals. Mm-hmm. So once somebody applies for pension benefits, there's a whole process they have to go through. They apply, then sometimes they wait a year or 2 for hearing anything else. Finally, they may get a notice as to how they proceed next. There are a set of rules that are incredibly complex. They call for people, most of whom are doing this on their own, to comply with rules that require the size of the type they use and the pages size and all kinds of incredibly, I think, burdensome aspects to it, with sometimes very short deadlines met by delays by the agencies involved. So it's a multi-step process, at the end of which a final determination administratively is made by the Contributory Retirement Appeal Board. And the appeal board, 2 cases right now that one I just got resolved, but just that piece alone, people are waiting for over 4 years for the appeal, for the CRAB board to make a decision. I've been told by the lawyer who represents CRAB, he's been pretty candid with me about how limited the resources are they have. There are 3 people who decide each matter. They meet only once a month. One of the cases I had, when I asked where my client was in the queue, they said he was number 141, and they only meet once a month to decide cases. And I believe that those who are on the board do their best, but the resources they have are so inconsequential. It's just them. I think they have a paralegal, that's it. And they literally have hundreds of these backlogged. There are two types essentially. One are those with disabilities, and then there are the others who are just trying to get their pension for whatever reason. And insofar as those with disabilities are concerned, they meet only once a month. And as I said, the clients that I've taken on have been waiting some 4 years or longer just for the last piece of the process, the CRAB appeal, to be determined. And that's after 5 or 6 years to get to that point. So what I'm hoping ultimately, because in each instance, the agency decided to, decide the case, I'm just hoping that eventually I'll get some judge who will make a decision that will send a message that the state really needs to do something about this. It's very unfair.
So thank you, Richard, for taking on this issue. Just a brief question for clarification: does every state worker who tries to collect their pension have to go through the same process?
Yeah. Now, some people, will get their pension in a shorter period of time, but others where there are contested issues go through years and years of the process. One I have now, at an earlier stage, she won and in front of DALA, and then CRAB appealed, and then she's been waiting 4.5 years for a decision there. Yeah.
If I just retired, I'm a state employee, right? If I just retired but did not put in the disability claim, I would just be putting in for my pension. That's a routine matter. They tend to just let those go.
Okay.
I think you're talking specifically about people who put in disability claims. Let me ask you this, Richard. Is it the same if you become disabled, meaning because of an accident on the job, or whether you become disabled because, like, you had a heart attack? There are two types of, I forget what they're called, but there's two types of disability claims. One on the job and one if you just physically become disabled. Is it the same onerous procedure for both?
Well, it's different. If you're disabled on the job, then you have a workers' comp claim.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for advocating on behalf of folks, Richard, and thanks for bringing the issue up to the board. Anyone else on the board have anything that they'd like to share? Not seeing anything, I guess we'll move on. And I may need some clarification in regards to this next agenda item. It's the executive committee elections. I know we're going to hold elections next month, but is there something that we should be doing in preparation for those elections, Andrea or Commissioner?
Yeah, great question, Jerry. So note of order is that you cannot nominate and vote in the same meeting. So the intention is to have people nominate. You can nominate yourself, you can nominate someone else, as has been the tradition for the last several years, at least since I've been here. Folks who are interested have communicated with Commissioner McCosh, and she will formally nominate the slate today. Folks who wish to accept the nomination will do so verbally or in the chat, so we know you agree. And then at our next meeting, your names will be listed in the agenda. We'll do a second call for nominations just to make sure that if anyone's changed their mind, but we'll be able to vote in February after nominating folks today.
Okay, great. So should I ask from the floor if there's folks are interested, or are we ready to take up a slate now, or how should we proceed?
If you open the floor for nominations, anyone who has them can speak, and I do happen to know Commissioner Scottson.
Okay. Based on that, I will open up the floor for nominations. And Commissioner, would you like to put some forth?
I'd be happy to, but I just want to make space at the beginning for anyone else who hasn't communicated with me if they are interested in nominating themselves or anyone else. I'll just give the board members that opportunity before I speak. Okay, hearing none, I don't see any. Do you see any hands, Andrea, Jerry? Okay.
I don't, so go right ahead, Commissioner.
Thanks, Jerry. So what I would like to nominate for the 2026 year of Executive Committee is Zari for Board Chair, Jerry for Vice Chair, Olivia for Secretary, and Tara for Treasurer.
Commissioner, have all these 4 people been communicated with and accepted the nomination? Or
Yes.
accepted the willingness to serve?
Yes.
We would
And I
ask
know
that
the
they all
one-
indicate in this meeting as well, if you could unmute or put in the chat.
Happy to serve.
Thanks, Jerry.
Absolutely. I'm happy to serve and looking forward to the next steps.
Thanks,
And
Zari.
Olivia said she accepts in the chat.
Thanks, Olivia.
Tara, are you still happy to serve?
In the chat,
I
Tara has
accept.
accepted.
Yeah, I want to see a detailed budget.
I see a thumbs up from Tara.
So I believe the next step is we wait until next month to do the actual vote. But in the meantime, if anybody has any other thoughts, you do have these next few weeks to consider nominations and also consider who you would like to vote for.
Great, thank you, Commissioner. And as I said in my report, it is my honor to serve with everyone, and it's my continued honor to serve, and particularly serve on the executive committee. And I know that Zari will do a great job if she is formally elected, and I know the entire executive committee will do a great job if formally elected next month. So
on that note, Jerry, could I just add, sorry, I would be remiss if I didn't thank Paul for his service on the executive committee. Paul, I know you've been on for several years now, and we really appreciate your advocacy and all the work that you do on behalf of people with mental health. So thank you for your service, Paul.
It's been an honor and a pleasure. Thanks for including me, and I look forward to serving on the advisory board still. It's a great slate nominated.
yeah, I want to second that, Paul. Thank you so much for stepping up in leadership, and I'm glad that you're staying on the advisory board.
Thank you. Feelings mutual. It's been a privilege.
Thanks. And thanks, everyone. But again, feel free, as Commissioner said, to think about it. If you want to throw your hat or somebody else's hat in the ring next month during the election, please feel free to do so. It's my hope that everyone will serve in an executive capacity at some point during their time on the board, if at all possible. So it is a great experience. So thank you, everyone, for considering it, and thank you for nominating us, Commissioner, and we look forward to serving. So now, under old business, I see we have autonomous vehicles. We had a great presentation in December from Professor from Northeastern, And any follow-up to that, Andrea?
Thanks, Jerry. Yes and no. There's no formal motion or anything on the table right now from members of the board, but I have heard from folks that this is a topic that you want to continue discussing because it is sort of ripe for the advisory board to give some advice, right? There is this question of what should be the city's policy when it comes to autonomous vehicles. And so I have heard from board members that you do want to continue discussing and learning more and to potentially give advice, give testimony, write a letter, something like that may come out of it. So with that in mind, we, as staff, are continuing to search for a second presenter. We've heard from a technical expert about what they are. There are some policy experts out there, some officials in other cities where these vehicles have deployed, like Austin and San Francisco, Los Angeles. So we'll be working with the executive committee to identify the best next presenter to talk about this issue with you all. So just leaving it on the agenda mostly as a heads up, unless and until there is a motion from you all to do something or to let it drop.
Does anyone on the advisory board now, is there something that they would like to say on this topic, or are we comfortable waiting to discuss it further in executive as part of the executive committee?
The only thing this is Carl. The only thing I'll say is I do think we should, it's coming, whether we like it. For instance, last night in the New York governor's State of the State, she proposed legislation to allow autonomous vehicles in the state of New York, except for New York City. So it's coming, and I'd like the disability community to have a voice on the accessibility for blind people, wheelchair users have a voice on making sure there are waived vehicles. People with hidden disabilities make sure they have the ability to use the vehicles. I don't want this to be a wild, wild west like it was with Lyft and Uber, where now we have no way of enforcing discrimination, whether it isn't just service animals that are being denied on Uber. Wheelchair users who can manually transfer into a car, but drivers are making an assumption when they see them, so they pull away. People with canes, they pull away before they even pick up. So I'd like us to be involved. It's coming. I don't know what the next steps are. I don't know where to take this, but I would like just this to be an ongoing subject as the matter of as the subject evolves over time, that we just occasionally look at it and see how we can help shape policy.
This is Jerry. Thank you, Carl. And I think you're speaking the language of the executive committee. I think that's what we want to try to do. We want to try to help shape the city's policy and be part of that discussion. So I think the current executive committee is right in line with you. So let's hope it's true in the going forward as well. But anybody else like to weigh in on this topic now? Seeing none, I will move on. And now it's time for public input portion of the meeting. Andrea, can you give your little 2-minute spiel, please? Absolutely. Hi, everyone. All members of the public are invited to give a comment or to ask a question. You may notice you are not able to unmute yourselves on your own right now. If you have a question or comment, we ask that you use the Zoom raise hand function, come on camera and raise a hand or wave at the camera, or indicate in the chat that you have a question or a chat. Once recognized by the chair, you will have 2 minutes to give your question or comment. If you would like to sign your question or comment, please note that as well in the chat so that I can pin you so that folks watching at home have equal access to your comment or question. So again, please indicate that you have a question. If and when you are recognized by Chair Boyd, I will send you a request to unmute and time your comment or question. So does anyone from the public would like to make a comment or have a question? Am I missing anyone, Andrea?
I am scrolling to see if anyone's coming on camera, but not seeing anyone.
Oh, Jerry.
Hold on just 1 minute. Just want to give anybody, do you see anybody from the public? Was there anybody from the public on tonight, Andrea?
We do have a few members.
Okay, we don't want to put them on the spot, but now would be the time. But I think we've given them opportunity. So there's always we do appreciate folks from the public attending our meetings, and would encourage you to speak up at future meetings. Continue to attend and speak up at future meetings when you're comfortable. So hearing that. Mr. Richardson, would you like to make your motion to adjourn?
Since you're wearing a Bruce Springsteen t-shirt and you are the boss, I want to ask for a motion to adjourn.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you were going to ask for a motion to run, to Born to Run, Carl. Yeah. But I'm sure on there. Anyway, any seconds to that motion to adjourn?
I second.
This is Paul, I second.
Paulette beat you to it, Paul. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We are adjourned, and we'll see everyone next month. I really appreciate everybody's work, and it was a great meeting. And stay safe, and we'll see you next month.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night,
See you
everybody.
soon.